make the daisy flower square, we're going to need 3 colors. I start off with yellow, and then my other row will be using white, and then I have another row and I'm going to be using purple. Along with, you're going to need some tapestry needles for weaving in any ends, and I like to use stitch markers so that I know where my beginning stitch is. Also, I'm going to be using a 5mm hook. I usually like to use between a 3.75 to a 5mm. I like using a smaller hook for clothing, but it's all up to you. To start off the daisy square, I'm going to be starting with yellow, and we're going to create a magic ring. This is how I create my magic ring. I'll usually have the string about as long as 3 fingers. I'll wrap it around only 2 though, and create an X. I take my hook, I go under that first one, grab the loose yarn, pull it under. It may feel funny, but I always try and use my other fingers to kind of hold that loop so it doesn't lose its spot. And then yarn over and pull through. And there's the magic ring we're going to start with. Some people will chain 4 and then slip stitch into the first one and they'll use that as a circle. You can do that too. I just prefer a magic ring. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create 8 single crochets. I'm going to take a stitch marker so that I can mark my first one, because I'm just going to go right into it. I'm now going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once we have 8, I'm going to take that extra tail and I'm going to pull it tight so that it brings in that circle. And I'm going to slip my hook right through the top of that first stitch. But we're not going to continue because now we're going to change color. Alright, I now have my white, and this is how I change color. So I'm going to take the yarn, put it over the hook, I hold both sides, and I'm going to pull it through that stitch and pull it through that loop. So that you can see we now have our white on the outside, and this is what I'm going to do. I only have my tiny scissors. I'm going to now cut the yellow. And I'm going to take the ending and the beginning tails, and I'm just going to knot them together twice. 1, don't pull it tight on the first one because then you'll make your stitches too tight. And then 2, on this one you can pull it tight. Alright, and that's how we change color. We're now going to be working on the petals. For the first cluster, it's going to be different than the rest. At first, we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2. We're going to be doing double crochet clusters all around to make the petals. To start, we're going to yarn over, and we're going back through the same stitch that the chain 2 came out of. Pull yarn through. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, only pull through the first 2. Now you've got 2 loops. We're going to yarn over again, go back through that same stitch, pull through, 4, yarn over, only pull through the first 2. Now we've got 3. Yarn over, go through the stitch again, Got a total of 5 right here. We're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2. Now we've got 4 loops on our hook, and you can see we have a total of what looks like 4 double crochets. Going to yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. Now what we're going to do, we're going to chain 2 between each cluster. I also like to work over my tails right here from changing the color so that those can be tucked away. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Now this is how we do the rest of the clusters. We're going to be doing a cluster in every single stitch. So we're going to have a total of 8 clusters with chain 2 between them. So yarn over, go through the stitch, pull up, got 3 loops, yarn over, pull through first 2. Yarn over, go through stitch, pull up, yarn over, pull through first 2, yarn over, pull through stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you see here we've got 4 loops like we did on our last one, but what's going to be different about these is we're going to be doing a total of 4 double crochets together. So there's only actually 3, so we're going to be doing 1 more. Pull through those first 2 loops. Now we have a total of 5 loops on our hook. That's how it's going to be from here on out. You're going to yarn over, chain 2, 1, 2. Continue making clusters all the way around. I'm now getting towards the end of my daisy. I just did my last 8th cluster. I'm going to chain 2. And I forgot to put my stitch marker in, but we're going to go into the very top of the first cluster right here. It's going to be this stitch right there. So we're going to go through there. But we're not going to pull our yarn through because this is where we're going to change color at. Now I'm going to be attaching my 3rd color. I'm going to be using my purple right here. I'm going to hold it over the hook, pull it through all the loops so that you can see that's where our new color starts. I'm going to look at it from the back. Found my other scissors this time. I'm going to go ahead and cut the white. And then we're going to take the beginning of the purple and the end of the white and double knot them twice. Don't pull tight on the first knot, pull tight on the second knot. And that is how we attach our new color. Now we're going to be working the granny square clusters. Some people like to work in the round, but I like to flip my project. I don't chain. First thing we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch through that first chain 2 space. So we're going to slip stitch through, and what I do is I chain 2. 1, 2. I go ahead and put a stitch marker through that because that's going to count as our first double crochet. Now I'm going to do 2 more double crochets in this same chain 2 space. So I now have a total of 3 double crochets, including that chain 2 space, but I'm going to make this my corner right here. To make a corner, we're going to chain 2 more and 3 more double crochets into the same chain 2 space. All right, we now have our corner. Next, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. We're now going to chain 1 again. In this next one is going to be a corner piece. So we're doing corner, cluster, corner, cluster, all the way around for the first row. So now we're going to double crochet 3, chain 2, double crochet 3 into the same chain 2 space. Now we're going to chain 1 and double crochet 3 into the next chain 2 space. We're going to chain 1 again, and the next space is going to be another corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then another 3 double crochets. We're now going to chain 1, 3 more double crochets in the next chain 2 space. Chain 1, and then corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then another 3. We're now getting to our very last granny square cluster. Chain 1, 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. And then we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch into the top of that chain 2. And that is how you create a daisy square. You can pull the middle to make it tighter, but I'm going to continue because I actually like to make my squares bigger, and this is how I continue that. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the project again, no chaining. We're going to go back through this chain 1 space and do a slip stitch. We're then going to chain 2, 1, 2. That's going to count as our first double. We're then going to do 2 more double crochets in that chain space to make the granny square cluster. Chain 1, and we're going to be doing another 3 double crochets right here. We're then going to chain 1 again, and now you can see where each corner is. In every corner, we're going to be repeating the same thing that we did to create the first corner. 3 double crochets, 2 chains, another 3 double crochets, all in the same chain 2 space. Chain 1, you're now going to be repeating the same steps all the way across. Every chain 1 space is going to have 3 double crochets. Every 2 chain space is where you're going to create a corner. I'm now reaching near the end of my second row of the granny square clusters. I ended on a corner right here. I'm going to chain 1. And we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 2 that we counted as our first double crochet. Now I'm going to end mine right here. If you want to keep building upwards, you can. I'm going to go ahead and fasten off. I chain 2, cut, and then pull tight. And here is how my daisy granny square looks. You can pull it tighter on the back. Stretch it out a bit. And you can use this for whatever you like. Bags, hats, just about anything. Hope you enjoy.